This building, then the Amsterdam Town Hall, still attests to the hardy self-assurance of its 17th century architects. Its lavish crystal adornments still reflect the glittering pride they felt in their accomplishments and their prosperity. It took shiploads of marble to build this place. Constantine Huygens, a poet and diplomat of the time, said that this town hall dispelled what he called the Gothic squint and squalor. The Middle Ages had ended. The Enlightenment had begun. Up there, do you see, is Atlas supporting the heavens on his shoulders. And beneath is Justice with a golden sword and golden scales, flanked by death and punishment. And who is it that Justice is trampling underfoot? Why, it's avarice and envy, the gods of the merchants. The Dutch knew that the unrestrained pursuit of profit posed serious threats to the soul of the nation. But Holland was a small country forced to live by its wits. There was a strong pacifist element in its foreign policy. Never before or since has Holland boasted such a galaxy of scientists, mathematicians, philosophers, and artists. This was the time of the great painters, Rembrandt and Vermeer. Because Holland was tolerant of unorthodox opinions, it was a refuge for intellectuals fleeing the thought control and censorship of other parts of Europe, much as the United States benefited enormously in the 1930s from the exodus of intellectuals from Nazi-dominated Europe. And so it was that 17th century Holland was the home of the great Jewish philosopher Spinoza, who Einstein admired so much, of René Descartes, a pivotal figure in the history of philosophy and of mathematics, and the home of a political scientist named John Locke, who was to have a powerful and profound influence on a group of philosophically inclined revolutionaries named Paine, Hamilton, Adams, Franklin, and Jefferson. The Dutch University of Leiden offered a professorship to an Italian scientist named Galileo, who had been forced by the Catholic Church under threat of torture to recant the heretical position that the Earth went around the sun and not vice versa. Galileo had close ties with Holland. His first astronomical telescope was based on a spyglass of Dutch manufacture, and with it he discovered the craters of the moon, the phases of Venus, and the 4 large moons of Jupiter. Becoming an exploratory power made Holland a vital intellectual and cultural center as well. The improvement of sailing ship technology spurred technology in general. A key problem in navigation was the determination of longitude. Latitude could be determined easily. The farther south you were, the more southern constellations you could see. But longitude required precise timekeeping. An accurate shipboard clock would continue to keep the time in your home port. The rising and setting of the stars would give you the local time, and the difference between the two would tell you how far east or west you had gone. Technological advance required the freest possible pursuit of knowledge. So Holland became the leading publisher and bookseller in Europe, translating works written in other languages and printing books that had been censored elsewhere. Adventures into exotic lands and encounters with strange societies shook complacency. They challenged the prevailing wisdom and showed that ideas which had been accepted for thousands of years might be fundamentally in error. In a time when kings and emperors ruled much of the planet, the Dutch Republic was governed, more than any other world power, by the people. They enjoyed a certain material well-being, but the interiors of their houses, celebrated by a generation of Dutch painters, suggest restraint and discretion. The officers of these ships of exploration and trade would return from their long voyages, share in the goods they had acquired, and discuss the wonders they had encountered. Holland prospered in its freedom of thought. In Italy, Galileo had announced other worlds. Giordano Bruno had speculated on intelligent life elsewhere. For this, they were made to suffer brutally. But in Holland, the astronomer Christian Huygens, who strongly supported both ideas, was showered with honors. Christian was the son of Constantine Huygens. The elder Huygens distinguished himself as a master diplomat of the age, a man of letters, a close friend and translator of the English poet John Donne. Constantine Huygens was also an accomplished composer and musician. It was Constantine who had discovered a young painter named Rembrandt van Rijn, in several of whose works he subsequently appears. He opened the doors of his house to artists, musicians, writers, statesmen, and scientists. A feast of goods and ideas from all over the world awaited them. The philosopher Descartes, who visited him here, said of Constantine Huygens, "I could not believe that a single mind could occupy itself with so many things and acquit itself so well in all of them." He even excelled at the art of parenthood. He was a tender and loving father. His son Christian flourished in this rich environment, demonstrating extraordinary talents for languages, drawing, law, science, engineering, mathematics, and music. "The world is my country," he said. "Science, my religion." Light was the motif of the age, the symbolic enlightenment of freedom of thought and religion, the light that suffused the paintings of the time, and light as an object of scientific study. The microscope was invented in Holland at this time and became a drawing room curiosity. Its inventor was a friend of Christian Huygens, a man named Anton Leeuwenhoek. The first microscopes were developed from magnifying glasses used by drapers to examine the quality of cloth. Leeuwenhoek and Huygens are the grandfathers of much of modern medicine. Because, to his amazement, Leeuwenhoek discovered the universe in a drop of water, the microbes, which he described as animalcules, and thought cute. Leeuwenhoek and Huygens were among the first people to see human sperm cells, a hitherto hidden microcosm of the human life cycle. Leeuwenhoek had discovered the microbial world. Huygens had argued from his telescopic observations that Mars was another world, and probably an inhabited one. What a waste of a planet, he thought, if Mars were barren.